people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. Former champion Keith Thurman says, I'm going to bring that fastball. Keith Thurman plans to showcase his power against Sebastian Fundora, except that this isn't going to be a lightweight who moved up in weight like Brock Jarvis, the last guy that he knocked out, the first guy that he knocked out in a very long time. Keith Thurman is still expected to get his shot at the WBC Super Welterweight title holder Sebastian Fundora after having the fight originally postponed due to a Fundora injury. And here he talks to Ring Magazine about the fight, which he still anticipates taking place despite a new date still not having been announced yet. Thurman says that he expects a formal announcement of the new fight date to come within the next couple of weeks, while he also looks to showcase a return to his younger form in this outing, although he later did some equivocating on exactly what style he intends to employ. Y'all don't understand Keith Thurman's love of the sport, man, said Keith Thurman in the third person. The only reason why I'm here, the only reason why I got to where I got to, it's just pure love. And devotion to boxing, man. There's nothing like being in the ring, baby. And you know, I want to fight the best. I want to challenge myself. I want to make history and show the real great fighters. You can't stop them from being champions again, and that's my motivation. More sanctimonious claptrap from a boxer who's saying things he thinks sound good, he thinks people want to hear. The truth is, if Keith Thurman is still boxing at his age, given his sparse schedule of activity over the years, it's because he needs money. There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. I'm hoping within 10 days to 2 weeks or so to come out with an announcement. They put something in my ear, but you know how this sport can be. I take it with a pinch of salt, but it tells me to stay active, stay in the gym. I had a good workout this morning, so I'm looking forward to this announcement. If they reschedule this fight, I do not get the impression that it will be a main event that carries a card so much as a fight on an undercard. That would be ideal. Thurman versus Fundora as a fight might seem alright, but it's not alright enough that you should have to pay per view to see it. What is often true about a lot of these box office fights they're putting out. You're gonna watch that man fall down once again, like he's already done in his career. I'm just coming to bring the big power, and you know, power leaves last. I've always been a power puncher, and I know I was finessing and I was boxing, I was showing my footwork, that was fun. I'm tired of that, so I'm going to go back to that crack. I'm going to bring that fastball for you.
Oh shit.
Remember B-Hop. Remember what B-Hop was doing. You just have to do things smarter, not harder. When you have knowledge and you have wisdom, then utilize it. Whenever a guy brings up Bernard Hopkins, you know that he's starting to feel his age. That's what that entails. That's what that means. Otherwise, why would you be likening yourself to Bernard? Because Bernard was out here in his 40s, fighting guys and winning titles. Why would I be trying to do all this stuff that a younger man would do when I can stay in the pocket, stay cool? If he ain't pressing, I'm not pressing. We manipulate moments in boxing, right? It's about finessing those moments to where you're not always having to dance around the ring, but you'd be surprised. These legs are still active. I've still got lots of mobility in me, and I plan to showcase it. And a moving target is hard to hit. And luckily for me, I've still got some movement in me, but there's just a different approach at this age in general, and I still think we can pack great results and be world champions once again. I've got a whole bag of tricks, man. The number one thing that's the hardest part about fighting Keith Thurman is they always underestimate how tricky I can be, and I love it. They try to put you in a box, but that lateral movement from my HBO days, and even when I was in Australia, I put Brock Jarvis to it. I love to test fighters, and when they have a problem keeping up with my movement, that's when I find that one time. That's when I find them shots in between. And that's what I mean by manipulating moments. Well, it's easier to control the distance against the smaller fighter that moved up in weight, like Brock Jarvis. He's not that physically imposing, doesn't have much height, doesn't have much reach. That's not what's going to be in front of you with Sebastian. Fucking guy's 6'4" at 154. Doesn't need to be close to you to hit you, so if what you plan on doing is staying on the outside of him, shaking and baking, he gets that arm out, might still touch you. To me, Fundora is more of an obstacle course. He's young, strong, but fundamentally, I see a lot of mistakes. I see a lot of holes, like Swiss cheese. You've got to put a veteran in like me to see if these young boys are the next him or not. It is true that Sebastian isn't the most fundamentally sound boxer per se, but with his physical dimensions, he really doesn't need to be. And it really doesn't help Keith that Sebastian, now more than before, is actually using that height and length, staying behind his jab to manage the real estate, not just falling in and brawling like he used to. So he got caught by Brian Mendoza a couple of fights, couple of years ago, and if he was still fighting that way, I could see. But he's not. And as stated, I don't get the impression this is going to be a main event, maybe the co-main event to something bigger like Mayweather versus Pacquiao 2. We know that they're working on that Netflix has some interest in doing that on that platform, and I imagine on the undercard, it's going to be PBC guys. Not bad when you think about it, because it wouldn't be a pay-per-view. When Netflix does these mega matches, these big cards, they don't charge anything extra. Hard to imagine that Keith Thurman at his age and his sparse schedule of activity can pull off this miracle, can chop down the tree. Even if it has been done before, Sebastian Fundora does look to have improved. What holes he have had some patching up, and they're not so easily exploited. Keith Thurman is the king of talking a good one. He's gonna do that. But it's very hard to imagine that he can pull off a win over Sebastian Fundora. In men's heavyweight news, Fabio Wardley wants Tyson Fury fight if no Alexander Usyk, and is also considering Derek Chisora. Another marketable domestic clash could become available to Tyson Fury if his showdown with Anthony Joshua falls through. Fabio Wardley, the heavyweight division's newly crowned WBO champion, is willing to give the former WBC champion a shot at his throne. I'd more than welcome it. Wardley said on Sky Sports Boxing, "That would be a fight that I'm hugely up for. Give me a call. Anytime." An all Queensberry affair, all in-house, no need for any outside parties, should be easy enough to make. A matchup with Wardley may catch Fury's attention now that Joshua is attempting to wrap his mind around what recently happened. The former two-time heavyweight champion was involved in a horrific car wreck last week in Nigeria. The 36-year-old escaped with only minor injuries, but Sinagami and Latif Ayodele, close friends of Anthony and members of his team, died in the accident. As previously reported by The Ring, a matchup between Joshua and Fury was being planned for a Riyadh season card at some point this year. All those plans have come to a screeching halt. There's no word as to whether or not Anthony Joshua will even continue to box after what he endured. And I thought to myself, I don't know what Tyson Fury's going to do, as he's in the midst of mounting his big comeback, and we all know who he was coming back for. What's he going to do now? He can fight Fabio. It's unclear what Anthony will do next, but in the meantime, Wardley has made it known that he would love to fight Tyson Fury. While a fight against the former champion would be terrific, Fury isn't his number one option. The one I want the most is Usyk, Wardley said. I know he's playing around with a fight against Deontay Wilder, so maybe not right now. The next best option for me would be Tyson Fury. He's a huge name, big character in the game. He's someone I would love to hop in the ring with. Initially, Wardley appeared to be next in line to face Ukraine's Usyk. The 31-year-old Brit won the WBO interim title thanks to an 11th round stoppage of former champion Joseph Parker last October in London. Shortly after, Usyk, the division's undisputed champion, opted to drop his crown rather than making a mandated defense against Wardley. He's pursuing a match with Wilder, a former WBC champion who is 2-4 in his last 6 fights. Wardley, though, isn't strapping himself to just those 2 names. The ring's number 1 contender's next fight could come against Derek Chisora. Well, I said it in my last video that Fabio Wardley has been on a tough run of fights. The first Frazier-Clark fight, where he got hit a lot. The Justice Hooney fight, the more recent Justice Hooney fight, where he got hit a lot again. And the Joseph Parker fight. He got hit a lot in that one, too. Enough that, I think they might elect to take their foot off the gas a bit, get Fabio an easy one, easier than those fights were. Enter grizzled veteran Derek Chisora. We're having some broad conversations, some broad chats, Wardley said. I know people would love that matchup. I know he's on the hunt and wants a big finish to his career. Obviously, he's at 49 fights. He wants to finish on that big 50, so a world title shot is probably the best way to do that. After giving his mind, body, and soul to the game for nearly 2 decades, Chisora has said on countless occasions that he'll officially hang up his gloves after his 50th fight. Considering that Chisora is riding a 3-fight winning streak, Wardley sounds like he may be willing to give him a shot. Ultimately, whether it's Chisora or another big name, Wardley is simply happy to be in this position. Ever since he became a champion, the tables have turned. I've always been the one chasing and hunting for people with world titles, Wardley said. Now I've got one, so it makes things a little easier. I can kind of sit back now that people are hunting me. It's the ideal sequence of fights. Let Fabio Wardley keep busy with Derek Chisora. Let Tyson Fury have a little layup, a little comeback fight, and then you do the fight between them. Because I wondered, with what's going on with Anthony, what is Tyson Fury gonna do? He didn't come out of retirement to fight just any old buddy, and there are not that many big fights left out there for him. You already fought Wilder 3 times. You already fought Usyk too. It was the only one he didn't get to. Though not only that, not just the unfinished business angle, but he wasn't going to come out of retirement for just any amount of money. It had to be for big money from a big fight. Wardley versus Fury is nowhere near as big as Joshua versus Fury, but it will have to do. It will have to suffice. Simultaneously doubling as a passing of the torch fight for Fabio Wardley, putting to rest the last remnants of the previous era of British heavyweights and ushering in a new one, shedding the old skin. Out with the old, in with the new. Is this a winnable fight for Fabio Wardley? It might be. We all know that Fury is many times more experienced than Fabio Wardley.
Yes.
In every way that you can imagine,
Yes.
he is more seasoned and he is a more well-polished boxer than Fabio Wardley, more tricky. Though at 37 years old, those legs just aren't what they used to be. I've heard it said on more than one occasion that Fury was already starting to show signs of decline in the Francis Ngannou fight, that fight was far more difficult than it should have been. Now, I personally think he just took the guy lightly. It's just what I think, but what some other people think is that Fury already started slipping a while ago. So if he's lost a step, that might make it easier for Fabio to connect that right hand with Fury's jaw. Fury's never been knocked out. He's never been stopped. He's been dropped plenty of times, but never knocked out. When the time comes later on this year, Fabio Wardley could be the first, as it wouldn't be the first time that Fabio Wardley took on someone that was more experienced in some areas than he is. We know that Justice Hooney had more of an amateur background than Fabio, and Joseph Parker, remember, Fabio comes from white collar. Joseph Parker was many times more experienced in the pro game than Fabio Wardley, and Fabio managed to come through those fights. This might be another fast developing a penchant for these come-from-behind Hail Mary wins, Hail Mary knockouts. Easily one of the most exciting heavyweights in heavyweight boxing today on either side of the Atlantic Ocean. One thing's for sure, when Fabio's in the ring, somebody's gonna get hurt. It's been a question as to who would take the mantle after Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury are gone. These giants of British boxing leaving behind big shoes to fill. Now, I don't know that Fabio's got it in him to become an undisputed champion.
I don't know about all that.
But he has managed to procure a world title, and you could give him decent odds against today's quasi-retired Tyson Fury, that if he's not going to be the face of British boxing, he can tide them over until the face gets here. Some think it's going to be Moses. We'll see. Further confirmation of what I said in my previous video, where Duke McKenzie is sick and tired of hearing Tyson Fury talk, I maintained that I'm sick of him too. But there is still a place for him in today's heavyweight landscape, that he can still be involved in interesting fights, intriguing fights.
This is one of them.
Him versus Wardley is a solid matchup. What Fabio lacks in experience and fundamentals, he makes up for in explosiveness and power. You often hear me talk about how a bit of suddenness in the heavyweight division goes a long way because most of those guys are slow as molasses.
So just a bit of snap on the punches makes a world of difference.
You see that in Richard Torres of the United States, Moses Italma of the United Kingdom, and Fabio Wardley.
The schedule.
We're in the first quarter of the new year, and I don't expect Tyson Fury to have his big comeback fight in the first quarter, maybe in the second or at the beginning of the third, to then cap off the year with the Fabio Wardley fight. And in between now and then, I expect to see Fabio also fight again.
Not against anybody difficult or dangerous, because now the focus is making the Fury fight.
So whether he lands that Derek Chisora fight in the interim or someone else, I don't expect it to be anybody difficult or dangerous. The focal point now at Queensbury is making Fabio versus Fury, and I expect to see it later on this year.